Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Truman Civil Rights Symposium. I want to start by thanking the Truman Library Institute for organizing this event. Together, you reflect President Truman's values, and I'm proud that my friend, Josh Earnest, is part of your team. I also want to thank all of you for being here. The next few days are about celebrating the 75th anniversary of two executive orders signed by President Truman, one banning racial discrimination in federal hiring, and the second, banning segregation in the U.S. military. As president, you learn pretty quickly that there are limits to what you can accomplish without Congress. But you also realize that as the head of the executive branch and the commander-in-chief, you have opportunities to make a real and lasting difference. That's exactly what President Truman did. The grandson of slave owners, Harry Truman was never the most likely champion for civil rights. But during the depths of Jim Crow, he argued for racial equality, becoming the first president to address the NAACP. And when he saw black veterans returning from World War II, only to face violence and abuse at home, he went a step further. By desegregating the federal workforce, the single largest employer in the country, President Truman set a powerful example and created new opportunities for generations of black Americans. And by ordering the integration of the military, he advanced the civil rights movement and helped prove that America is safer when Americans fight together. Now, another thing you learn as president is that no law or executive order solves everything on its own, and these were no exceptions. President Truman's order to desegregate the military faced fierce opposition, and much of the progress that ultimately happened was the result of the persistence, dedication, and patriotism of black servicemen and women. But President Truman made it possible. And more than that, he proved once again that each generation can look upon our imperfections and remake this nation to more closely align with our highest ideals. May we continue to follow his example. Thank you, and enjoy the event.
Please welcome Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II.
Thank you very much for introducing me, President Obama. As the representative of Harry Truman's hometown of Independence, Missouri, I am very much honored to be with you this evening. When Harry Truman became the first president to address the NAACP in 1947, I don't think anyone could have imagined the progress to come. And since that day, just think about it. Dr. King marched on Washington. President Johnson signed a number of civil rights bills. Thurgood Marshall joined the Supreme Court, and America elected Barack Hussein Obama to the presidency. In his speech, President Truman warned that we cannot afford the luxury of a leisurely attack on discrimination. His words marked the genesis of the civil rights era, ringing out in Congress, state legislatures, congregations, living rooms, and city streets all around this great country. Today, we meet to keep Truman's words alive and usher our children and their children into a new era of civil rights. Before Dr. King divulged his dream, Rosa Parks took a seat on a bus, and President Obama swore his oath. President Truman signed Executive Order 9981. And with the stroke of a pen, Truman ended 172 years, 172 years of a segregated American army. African Americans served in every armed conflict since the Revolutionary War, sacrificing their lives for an American promise. And I guess that's what a lot of young people looked at when they said Black Lives Matter. The Department of Defense sacrificed Black lives without granting them equal honor. Last Sunday, my father celebrated his 101st birthday. And I thank God mostly that he's still with it. There are obviously some things we would like for him to forget, but he just won't. But one of the things that I told him about coming to this today, I will remember, and my little grandson was with me, who I hope I can say it, remind him over and over again that he will remember it for the rest of his life. My father sat at a little lunch table and he said, when Truman signed Executive Order 9981, he said, my brothers and I, his two brothers, we went Zoom. He used his hands, went Zoom. And I said, what do you mean Zoom? He said, it gave us a chance to go to college on the GI Bill. And he said, our middle classness is a result of 9981. My father went to Prairie View A&M University following his brother to Prairie View A&M, and then his younger brother, Emmanuel, went to Texas College. For the first time in my family's history, America kept its promise. President Truman's words are as salient today as they were 76 years ago. All you have to do is think about the NDAA that we just dealt with in Congress. President Truman dealt with these same issues in 1947. And tragically, we're still dealing with them today. We cannot afford a relaxed resolve against hate. We cannot afford a dull denunciation against violence. We cannot afford to wait for bigotry to blow the bugle of retreat in the battle for the soul of America. And as President Truman said, we certainly cannot afford the luxury of leisurely attacks against discrimination. Maya Angelou reminds us that the onus is upon us all to work to improve the human condition. Let me just end by saying, most of you from Independence, you already know. Most people probably don't know this though. Independence has its own water system. Almost all the other cities in the metropolitan area, they buy their water from Kansas City, except for Independence. Wouldn't it be nice to force some members of Congress to drink water in Independence?